Hey, this is Dave from MetalEpidemic.com. Thank you for checking out our YouTube video. Please feel free to hit the subscribe button below if you like this type of content, and we hope you enjoy the review. What is up, guys? Dave here from Metal Epidemic, joined by my man Kyle. No Duncan on this review, I'm afraid, ladies and gents.
He bailed.
He is gone. he is on paternity leave, ladies and gents.
Unpaid.
Yes, absolutely unpaid. I don't know. He sent photos through of his new kid, but
I think he took it off the street. Yeah.
Photoshopped or something. I think. Yeah. I don't think that was his. I think he's away getting that penis enlargement he's been talking about for months.
Yeah, it's definitely in for an asshole bleaching.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I think he just walked into a natal ward and just stole one for a minute.
Yeah.
Like, can I just borrow your... there you go, nice.
Selfie. Yeah. Just want a week off. He'll be back soon though. But for this review, Kyle and I have been checking out the new album from Gothenburg/Hamburg death metal unit Emissary of Suffering. The band's new album Mournful Sights were released on September 24th via Cold Knife Records. So this is a debut album from Emissary of Suffering. The members involved have a long history within the metal scene and have played in many other bands over the years. And this, their first release, is a thrashing death metal album pulling from the bands that changed the members' lives musically. Lyrically and thematically, it deals with a world they see emerge more and more into a moloch of inhumane policies and right-wing narratives. This is their way of trying to understand, sending 8 missiles into the heart of the beasts. The album was mixed and mastered by Jens Balask. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce his name, but it was done at Third Alliance Studio. So, Kyle, I'd never heard of these guys before until one of our Twitter followers tagged Kyle in a post asking what he thought of the production, specifically drums, of their first single that they released. So that was the kind of first time that it kind of come at my attention, but I kind of liked what I'd heard from that first track they put out.
Yeah, I remember hearing that and being like, that's not awful.
Yeah, it definitely made me think, maybe I actually would like to hear more of that release. And I must admit, like, my first listen to this, it kind of flew by. When it finished, I actually thought, that can't be this album done, surely. But right enough, it's 8 tracks and it's only 26 minutes in length, so it's a fairly brisk release for a debut. Which is maybe a little bit unexpected, like usually a lot of new bands are dying to just cram their first release with as much material as they possibly can, but I don't know, I kind of appreciated the fact that these guys didn't go down that route. They've kept it pretty lean to the point.
It's better to do it that way, just introduce people to your sound and get out the door straight away. Yeah,
100%, yeah. And it's one of those albums, because it's only 26 minutes, you could play it 2 or 3 times on the bounce because of that quick runtime. Musically, it's, as I mentioned, I think it's partly a death metal album. You can hear a bit of that almost kind of Swedish character coming through on this. Has a little bit of a kind of vintage tone to it. I was getting like little shades of like Dismember or Vomitory, a little bit at the gates as well, but it's also got some kind of almost like kind of American subtleties to it as well that put me in mind of like Morbid Angel or even UK bands like Benediction. But Mournful Sights, it's not just a death metal album. It's got more to it than that, and this is the kind of part that kind of interested me with this album. On the first track, Total Void, they clearly like flirt with a bit of thrash, and then towards the end of the track they pull you in with some kind of straight up like groove metal. And it was that point that the kind of vintage vibes I was getting early on started to kind of like morph a little bit, and they started to pull their sound more and more into the kind of like the current, almost like kind of post 2000s. It wasn't like that first track, it wasn't like a kick in the ass away from like a band like Hatespehere. Maybe slightly more old school, but similar in tone. And vocally as well, it kind of toes the line between like that kind of guttural death metal, those kind of growls, but with a more kind of mid-range, kind of gritty thrash tone as well, which kind of suits, their mix of styles that they're bringing to the table. And that kind of formula just kind of continues throughout the album. The band kind of paying homage to death metal and thrash metal bands of the 80s and 90s, but also giving it a slight bit of a modern touch as well to kind of appease fans that are looking for something a bit more current. And it's the same with the production, to be honest. I can hear elements of the production that reminds me of like 90s death metal and thrash, especially some of the vocal production. It's quite reverb heavy at times, but then the guitar tone isn't too retro. It does have a little bit of a kind of modern bite to it. Same with the drums. The drums have got a bit of kind of dirt to them, which kind of stops it becoming too polished, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't know what I know you're big on production. What did you make of the production in this?
You know what? I'm not sure what to make of it, because it sounds almost like they've done sample reinforcement of the drums, if like not total replacement, because a lot of it's quite natural, but some of it's quite unnatural. Yeah. But it kind of suits the sound, so I'm not totally against it, but it sounds good. It sounds natural. And there's that one song, the second to last song, I can't remember how to say. No, there is the last song. Cura, it's something. I tried to say it before, it's not going to happen. But it starts with like a 2-bar blast beat, and you can hear that it's naturally done. There's very little studio fuckery going on that, so I really appreciate that they're trying to go down that route. Yeah, the guitar tones are massive, and you can hear the bass, especially in the beginning of the third song, Mournful Sight. Yeah. So yeah, everything's quite clear, but also a bit dirty and hairy around the edges, which is how I think metal should be. If it's too polished, it loses its life. So
true.
Yeah. No, I think you nailed it.
Yeah. The only issue I had, I felt sometimes the drums were slightly too loud, just kind of overpowered certain parts.
Slightly, I think that's giving it. It's a bit generous there. Sometimes it was like, Jesus Christ. But
I sugarcoated that a little bit, slightly too loud at times. But you mentioned Mournful Sight there. That would probably be one of the kind of standouts for me on this album. I really liked more of the kind of atmospheric chords and the lead work from the guitar on that track. I felt that really kind of opened their sound up a bit more and added a bit of kind of light and shade. And then Privilege, I think, was the other track. It's where I was hearing a little bit of a kind of at the gates vibe, especially in the kind of rhythm and tempo of the track, which I quite dug. And then the end of Abattoir has probably one of my favourite kind of slower grooves on the album, just kind of like pounding double bass drums with a big kind of droning, kind of disgusting riff over the top of it. It's fairly relentless for like 26 minutes. It never really lets up much at all. I would probably have liked a little bit more light added to the shades overall.
Bit of contrast,
even maybe just something in the middle to break it up between track 4 and 5. I do also think there were moments where things became a little bit repetitive rhythmically, especially the kind of thrashier parts of the song, and some of the drum fills I felt like they were a little bit overused throughout the album. So because some of that, like, I felt like some of the songs maybe lost a little bit of their kind of individuality. But that aside, I think there's still a lot to enjoy in this. It's short, it's punchy. I think the musicianship's good, and I like the kind of balance of styles. I think it'll probably appeal to like the old school fans and the kind of new school. It's not necessarily pushing any boundaries. They have a wheelhouse that they are quite comfortable in, and they don't really venture out with that. I'm not too sure how much I'll come back to this throughout the year. I think they do what they do well, but they don't really bring anything new to the table. And I do think like the other bands within the style that I'd probably go to first before going to this, if I'm honest. But I think like the one thing is that it does have in its favour is the runtime. I think if you're after like a short blast of something with like plenty of energy, a lot of kind of gutsy riffs, then it'll probably satisfy a lot of your appetite, to be honest. What did you make of the rest of this?
I think a lot the same as you thought, to be honest. It's got some very good standout moments, but a lot of it's quite samey, to be honest. I listened to it a few times and I did pick out a lot of stuff that was very similar between songs. Like a lot of drum patterns and stuff like that, and some of the riffs weren't really that imaginative. We've heard a lot of death metal last year especially, and a lot of this kind of blending of styles. I think, if you want to be in this genre, you've really got to push the boundary to be noticed. And I think while these guys play what they play very, very well, the production's actually really good, and it sounds very good sounding album. And I like that it's very short. It's like a driving album. You just put it on in the car, and wherever you're going, you've listened to the album. It's great.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think I'll look forward to the next album, because I think if they push those parts that made them who they were, those two songs I mentioned, Mournful Sight and Privilege, and the end of that, and if they lent into that a bit more and forgot all the stuff we've heard before, I think they'll become a really, really unique band. But as it stands, I agree. I don't think I'll go back to this that much, to be honest. But it's very good for what it is, and I encourage anybody to check it out, because obviously it's just our opinion, but it's a great sounding album. But I really want to hear them lean into what makes them more.
True. Yeah, I totally agree with that, actually. I would be interested to hear what they do next. Considering this is just a debut, I don't know how long they've been together. I couldn't really find out, kind of when the band started, but
for a debut, it's fantastic, man.
Yeah,
if you come out and your first album sounding like this, you've got nowhere to go but up. Well, I mean, that sounds like a backhanded compliment. No, it's a compliment. You've got, or your future's ahead of you, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, for sure. So ratings with this one. I kind of swayed on this one with the ratings. Every time I listen to it, I kind of change my mind.
Me too.
And I think I'm going to settle on a 3. I'm going to go 3 out of 5. I think they have a ton of potential. I think they do the styles that they've picked very well. I just feel like they need something a little bit more of an individuality. Just something that says this is our band. This is how we sound. We don't sound like all these other guys. And I look forward to hearing what they do, on future releases as their sound kind of starts to evolve and stuff. So I think I'm going to go 3 out of 5 on this one. What about yourself?
I think I'll join you there. And I think mostly, even though, it was not like I was bored on this album, but I just thought I'd heard it all before. A lot of it anyway. But I think based on the fact that they play super well and their production is amazing for being a debut and for being metal these days in 2021, I'm going to join you in 3 on 5. So 3 out of 5,
Okay, cool. So this one drops on the 24th of September through Cold Knife Records. If you want to check these guys out, you'll find them on Facebook. I will put a link in the description below to their Facebook page and to their Bandcamp, so you can check out the album. It's available for pre-order just now. That's the review. Thanks for checking it out. Let us know what you think, if you've heard any of the singles from the album, or once the album drops. Happy to hear your thoughts and opinions on it. We'll be back with another review very soon, but until then, take care. Speak to you soon.
See you later.